From the words of an astrologer with over 50 years experience, the following is to be a long tutorial intro so that anyone can catch up on any horoscope of the month. I will timestamp the description if you need to skip it. In the West I have seen many people interested in the sun signs, and a few are against them, objecting under different grounds. In India, most people are familiar with the moon sign, although in the West, thousands of astrologers are already familiar with moon signs. Both astrologies, Western and Vedic, known as well as Hindu, jyotish or sidereal, are deep sciences. Western compiled by Ptolemy around 2,000 years ago, and Vedic compiled by Parasara and others around 5,000 years ago. Western astrology follows planets in the tropical or terrestrial sky, while Vedic astrology does so in the sidereal or celestial sky. The different reference indicates that both astrologies are powerful as long as the rules are followed. Some rules and combinations are written and others are discovered. Some people want to know why in astrology there are only 12 signs, and the answer is that we don't know, but it works. In the English alphabet there are 26 letters, and there are 27 letters in Spanish. Why is this? The general public don't care, but it works. There are 360 degrees in a circle, and there are 365 days in a year. The sun in a year crosses the 12 signs of the zodiac in both the sidereal and the tropical sky. But while the sun signs are more important in Western astrology, the Vedic moon crossing the sidereal signs are more important. Because the speed of the sun is slower and constant than the moon's, it is easier to have dates for the sun signs, while the complicated signs of the moon requires the computer to consider its daily position. Here we have the dates when the sun changes signs and therefore indicates the sun signs in Western astrology. However, we have to consider that these dates are general, as some years the sun changes the day before or after, but the dates given here are general, and this is why we recommend to those born on the cusps of the signs to check for their exact signs. For example, every year we celebrate the summer solstice on the 21st of June when the sun enters the tropical, meaning terrestrial sign of Cancer. This year it happened on the 20th of June 2024 at 8:51 Greenwich Mean Time. As another example, if you were born on the 22nd of March, you are considered to be a native of Aries in Western astrology, and therefore in theory share the characteristics of Aries with every 12th person in the world. Most people think that astrology is about planets, signs, and horoscopes. Many consult their sun signs in newspapers or in magazines that offer the astrological trends for the year, month, or week. Of course, the sun sign trends offered are superficial. For 1 in 12 people, there is a difference that may be even copied over from another year by a random journalist. Vedic astrology, however, has ancient scripture writing the rules, so even vagueness is scrutinized if they dare. Most are familiar with the 12 signs of the zodiac, 9 grahas in Vedic astrology versus 12 planets in Western astrology, where each sign measures 30 degrees for a complete 360. In Western astrology, the horoscopes consider the 12 signs and the 12 planets in circular graphics, and in Vedic astrology, the horoscopes are represented in square graphics, whereby the most used format looks like this. 12 signs representing 12 sectors or houses, while in the second graphic we see the main designations of those 12 houses and their meaning. Some classic books give rules considering from the lagna or ascendant sign or from the moon sign, as both points are valid for reference. For example, they say Mars in the 4th house from the natal ascendant or from the natal moon. For example, according to the question put to the astrologer, a house in particular is observed. When the nature of the question is a job, one studies the house 10, and when the question is about home or education, we focus on the 4th house. So this is the rule to take as reference, and when considering the planetary transits, we apply the same. The reading of the planetary transits is fun and easy. Every astrologer has one style to see them. Remember that from your own sign, there are 12 houses to consider. Comparing these, one has Aries in the 1st house, the other has Virgo in the 1st house. For Aries lagna, as sun sign or moon sign, Scorpio is the 8th house for the former, but Aries for the latter. When a planet in the calendar is seen moving into Leo, for example, the 5th house will be affected for the former and the 12th house for the latter. In other words, the sun changing signs affects the 12 signs in a different way. Some say that the transits are good or bad according to the houses affected, but that is just a general rule. Other factors like planetary periods must be considered. The reading is very general, but nevertheless, they can give a good idea of the effects of the planets moving around. The faster a planet moves across a sign, the lesser its effects visible, unlike the clear visibility of either slow or retrograde planets. Of all the planets, the Sun and the Moon never go retrograde. Rahu and Ketu, or the nodes of the Moon, are always moving retrograde, while the rest of the planets alternate between direct movement and retrograde. As a reference, I see the planetary positions every day to have an idea of where they are. It helps to have a monthly calendar to see them as a forecast. In the beginning, one learns about the effects of the planets in signs, either in direct or retrograde motion, and with practice, one learns about their moving in nakshatras, or constellations. The signs are 30 degrees wide, and the nakshatras only 13 degrees, plus 20 degrees of arc each. Later, one learns about the effects of the planetary conjunctions. For practical purposes, we are going to see the chart of America, the one of its independence, 4th of July in 1776, and see how it is affected by the planetary transits. I like to follow this chart for reference, because somehow America is a focus in the world, and we have the data. For some countries, it is difficult to have a trusted horoscope. In the weekly readings of the calendar, we are going to elaborate on some interesting points, and thus we are going to learn about the secrets of astrology as a science. Your feedback is welcome to clarify or improve this series of calendars. These are astrological symbols, all made by Tarabalas, bait for astrologers to comment if they want to know more. This is to steer the direction from curiosity and inquisitiveness, because astrology is too gate-kept, inhibiting people to read their own charts for free. So rather than thinking about what to write for each symbol, this is your opportunity to ask. Further symbology can be understood from the likes of Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, or may find them as Vedic manuscripts. But these ones are different. They can easily be imprinted onto a digital archive disk for 1,000 years with current cost-effective technology, and the author can tell you more about them in English, if you ask during this window of opportunity. A picture paints 1,000 words, and certainly these types of images feature that. It just surrounds a swim into Vedic horoscopes. By following the system of the Tarabalas, where Vipat Tarabala, or the red danger marker, we can see that this person, disguised for various data protection reasons, has his Mercury in the sub-period of Venus. There are a few ways to read this. The 12th house shows moksha, or liberation, of his country. Pluto, PL, Saturn, SA, and Venus, VE, are helping him. B.V. Raman said that some astrologers consider the 12th house to indicate a previous life. According to the Prajna Marga, the first 4 houses from the moon, or Lagna, showed the present time. The following 4 houses are the future, and the next 4 houses are the past. From the moon sign, the cluster of those 3 planets show the past, and from the Lagna as well. This person was born with the moon in Scorpio, Janma Rasi, and Jyestha, Janma Nakshatra. Therefore, he was born in the Mercury Mahadasa, or the major period of Mercury. And from the 15th of November 2016, he started the Jupiter Mahadasa, or his mitra Tarabala, where he has Saturn and Venus. From 27th of September 2024, he's going to be in his Venus sub-period and Jupiter major period. According to my experience of seeing thousands of horoscopes when in the periods of Jupiter-Venus or Venus-Jupiter, the time is mixed with good and bad results. This may be a contradiction of the rules because technically Jupiter and Venus are the most beneficial planets of the 9. But I see here as Shukracharya, or Venus, as giving a burning of karma, and hence the bad events around. Plus, Venus is the Vipat lord, or the planet that can give dangers. He is now in the Jupiter major period and Ketu sub-period. His Jupiter, the major lord, rules his mitra Tarabala. Mitra means friend, and is in sadhana Tarabala. Mitra is friendly, and sadhana is the spiritual intention, which according to capacity is manifested as nationalism or as the pursuit of spiritual advancement. The dangers here are a hostile environment, wanting to stop the person, but when the person changes his inner self, automatically the environment changes. We know that he was almost killed recently in his Ketu sub-period. Ketu is the Moksha Karaka, or the indicator of moksha, liberation. Death, in a way, is the liberation of the body, but in this case he was not killed, and his liberation came as a spiritual realization. People who go through a near-death experience often realize this, and so do their friends see this change. His Ketu is with the natal moon and Pluto, the planet of death, in his Tarabala 1, and Ketu, Ke, rules his Tarabala 2, wealth. Ketu is with Rahu in the Jupiter Tarabala 8, Mitra, hence positivity or protection. On the important future date of 5th November 2024, he will be in his Venus sub-period. Venus is his Vipat lord, and therefore some dangers are in Tarabala 7, the mildest of the bad Tarabalas, associating with Uranus, drastic changes, Jupiter, protection, and Neptune, ideals, therefore some strong opposition, but protection and victory. His sub-periods will be Jupiter, Venus, Venus periods. His Venus sub-period, antara, will start on the 28th of the 9th, 2024. His Venus is Vipat Lord or ruler of his Vipat Tarabala, which indicates dangers, and is in Vipat Tarabala. This is according to the position of the sub-periods. In wars or fights, sometimes the rules are broken and the fights become nasty. Nasty things will be seen before things get better. Then it's the start of a new direction for the planet. All computer programs of Vedic astrology provide the planetary positions in nakshatras, and I have seen one computer program that gives the planets in sub-periods and in the sub-periods. So my reasoning is, if the planetary positions in degrees and minutes can provide their position in the Rasi or horoscope and in the navamsa chart, then why not draw the Tarabala yantra or the position of the planets in nakshatras? And why not in the sub-periods and sub-periods too? The designer recorded the segments of arc that divided those periods. For example, from 0 degrees Aries to 13 minutes and 20 seconds, we see the nakshatra of Ketu, or the major period of Ketu. The first sub-period of Ketu, ruled by Ketu, goes from 0 degrees Aries, 46 minutes and 40 seconds of Aries, and the first sub-period of Ketu has the range from 0 degrees Aries to 2 degrees, 43 minutes and 33 seconds of Aries.